Joe,
Matt.
since we started this podcast, you've spoken of the Rooney episode.
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate we'd get to the Rooney episode so quickly, but here we are.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't think it was this one. I didn't think it was this episode.
Then
I
what?
thought
The name,
Rooney
the
episode
third
was
wheel
in the
didn't
LA.
imply that it was a Rooney episode.
No, I thought the Rooney episode was the LA. But I think that the LA is now a different. It's a whole thing. I will be pleasantly surprised when we finally get to the LA. But yes, we are now at the Rooney-sode.
I literally wrote in all caps in the middle of my notes, "Oh wait, it's the Rooney episode."
Yes. As soon as they mentioned it, I was like, "Oh crap, this is not what I thought it was."
So we start off this episode. It's actually a pretty interesting cold open, right? Because I think it's entirely dialogue free.
Yeah.
But it's Saturday Morning by the Eels blasting. And you've got Haley in the foreground, and the rest of the Coens and Ryan are doing their shit in the background, and it's like they can't find food. They're all miserable. And then suddenly the volume flips because she's got her headphones on, and that's the song that she's listening to. So that's what you're seeing it from the perspective of.
Mhm.
And then it flips to how the Coens are seeing it, which is just this obnoxious person sitting on their couch with music blasting so loud that they can hear it outside of the headphones.
Yeah.
And then do 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 do, like, it's like,
Just like looking, it's like looking on. I guess Haley frustrates me so much because, like, girl, this is your family. I mean, I get it. You have your own issues, and you're there to get money. You're there to leech off your dad and all that stuff, and you're the baby. Again, I will never understand what that's like because I am not the baby, and I don't think you are, right, Matt?
oh, I'm the oldest, so I'm the person who has to come in and deal with everything. Oh, your brother never did that. But
Yeah.
I'm both the combination of your brother never did that, but I'm also the guinea pig of every punishment. So it's like I was the only child that had soap in his mouth, not because I said something so terrible comparatively to the other kids, but when my mom saw how upset having soap in my mouth made me, she said she couldn't bear to do it to anybody else ever again. And I'm like, cool. I'm
Thank you.
so glad.
Thank you for my trauma, mother.
But you know what? Like Haley, I have such a mixed feeling about Haley because I agree with you. Like, she's kind of leeching off of shit. She's there to basically just take her dad's money. But like, number one, she's straight spitting facts. You know what I mean? Like when they're like hanging out in the kitchen and she's just like, man, this kid certainly seems to conveniently never have a girlfriend around when he's hanging out with your girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's she's just calling shit as it is. And I mean, I know it's later in the episode. I actually found her like, hey, let's just reminisce about being kids, like indoor Golden Girls marathon date while playing board games to be kind of a cute little date, all things considered.
Yeah, it's reminds me of like a date I went on recently where all we did was like watch Trader, the Traders on Peacock, and I was like, this is actually quite perfect.
Yeah. No, I am all about. I was texting someone about this where it's like a good relationship or a good date or whatever, like it has to have both. It can't all be fancy dinners and big events. Like you also have to be comfortable just like fucking chilling inside, binge watching a TV show, looking gross in pajamas. You know what I mean? And like to me, that's my preferred place anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to get, I mean, don't take this dating advice, everyone, because this is a 16 years single person. But like, I try to get to the like hang out, low key environment, watching television date like as quickly as possible, just because that's kind of like to me that's cute. That's the fun date to me.
I think like it's if you are because like I'm curious. I'm going to speak from the eye. So I'm
Mhm.
going to speak for myself. I'm a person where I'm plenty content doing exactly that, right? I'm plenty content having delicious snacks and various food items, and curating like a day of movies, TV, and such and such.
Yes.
And one of the things that like where my ex was not, he was not that person. Like he was definitely
Yeah.
not somebody he would have like a minor freak out if he like sat for too long, like he needed to be up and moving. And
See, and I like
yeah.
I haven't done this in a very long time,
Hmm.
right? But probably in my 20s. This is a very Seth Cohen move, honestly. But in my 20s, like if I liked a person
Hmm.
and I found out that they hadn't seen like a movie or a TV show that I was a huge fan of, I would write it down and I'd be like,
Hmm.
okay, we'll make it a point. Like next time they're hanging out, I'd be like, hey, do you want to watch one of these movies and or TV shows that you haven't seen? But I also would write down when they would talk about a movie or TV show that they really liked that I hadn't seen.
Hmm.
I would write that down too, and if they were coming over, be like, "Hey, do you want to bring over like one of these movies that you mentioned? Because I've
Yeah.
never seen it. It'd be cool to watch." Like I enjoyed, but you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
I enjoy the act of sharing those experiences together, which I think I said this on the Chrismica episode. Like that's the fatal flaw of the Seth Cohen package
Hmm.
is like you're saying here, these are 5 things that are important to me.
Hmm.
Enjoy them alone.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
That's not the move. That's not the vibe, as the
no,
kids say.
no, not at all. Sandy, I mean, I will never speak ill of Sandy, but
Okay,
Sandy's kind of short tempered a little bit
hold
in this
on. I need
episode.
to note this time. You don't know what's coming. So, the
Oh
thing I love
no.
about a soap opera is that at any point, someone can be the villain.
Oh no, I refuse. I refuse to accept that they could ever make me dislike Daddy Cohen. Um, but yeah, like I think that there's a scene where he kind of like embarrasses Haley in front of Jimmy Cooper during their date that I was just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, Sandy, that's a little uncalled for." Like
Yeah.
there's a million other times you could have had this conversation and this is not
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. You're like, not only are you like insulting your sister in law, but you are cock blocking your best friend,
Yeah,
basically.
they both need this.
Yeah. Let them have
What
it.
but I do want to so the episode starts off with that cold open and
Hmm.
then we're in the pool house. Seth comes running in, he's looking for Marissa.
Hmm.
And his joke is, well, we got Haley hogging up the space in the
Hmm.
house. Marissa's always here. There's no place that's for Seth Cohen anymore. Um, and he's look, man, I need to talk to you about some dating advice or whatever. Uh, well, first Ryan says, "Well, we can talk right now. No one's around." He goes, "Cool, you're squeezing me in right for school, but anyway, I'll take it." and he's like, and he says, "We're gonna take things to the next level." And Ryan goes, "Oh, you're gonna have sex?" He goes, "No, but that's a great idea."
Yeah.
Like,
That was a good one. That was a good line.
but yeah, he's basically like, Anna and I are official.
We're
You
going to
need to
tell
tell
Summer.
Summer. And I like that Seth has picked Anna. And I like that this episode makes references to the rage blackouts
Yeah.
a couple times. So, he says, like, I got to figure out a way to tell Summer before her rage blackout leads to her killing me. And then it comes up again where he's like, I can't do it right here. This is the worst place for her to have a rage blackout. like I love that is similar to Captain Oates, which was another thing that I thought for sure was going to be a one-time only throwaway joke. This is just a reoccurring line now.
Yeah.
And I like it. Let me ask you this, and this is like a two-parter.
Okay.
Because I think that it's more egregious in the next episode. How do you feel Summer is handling this Anna Seth information? Because I think it is the worst way she could possibly go about this situation.
I mean, yeah, it is the worst way, which like the resolution, well, not the resolution, but like the reveal of them comes towards the end of this episode, right?
Yeah.
And like I thought,
But it feels like she already knows. You know what I mean? Like the second that she sees them in line at Rooney, it feels like she's getting a vibe at least, because she walks up to them and is like, "Hey, I'm the only single person here. Can I hang out with you guys?" You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like there are like little subtle hints where I almost feel like she it's not written in the script this way. This is Matt Kelly's own like placing something on it, but it
Sure.
almost at a certain point feels like stop treating me like I'm an idiot and just tell me what you guys are because I've already kind of figured it out.
Well, see. I don't read it that way. I read it like she is being insecure because Anna does have more in common with Seth. They are more kindred spirits than. See, like what's interesting about the dynamic of either Anna or Summer is that Anna is more like Seth and like attracts like, but Summer is so opposite that
The
it's like
opposites
opposites
attract. Yeah.
attract. So it can be either one. And I think that for me, I read it as like maybe it's the beginning of a vibe, and that's what makes it more believable at the end when she's just kind of like lets it be.
I'll tell you the part that would bother me the most would be that if I was Summer, literally as far as we're concerned as viewers, the last interaction Summer and Anna had together was the fuck Seth Cohen, we're starting this year anew.
Yeah.
Anna leaves middle of New Year's Eve party. Suddenly Anna and Seth are a couple. I feel like if I was in Summer's shoes, I'd be like, what the fuck was that get over Seth Cohen together bullshit that you were feeding me a week ago then?
Well,
Like,
I thought it was really cute, the line about like, Rose would never do that to Blanche, but Blanche would definitely
yeah.
do that to Rose.
Yes.
And I was like,
Man, they
okay,
love throwing the Golden Girls references around in this episode. That
I know.
did they only know 4 episodes though? Because they had brought up the adopted pig storyline twice.
I was like, we get it. It's a through line. but like,
Like,
but
I feel
also,
like the OC has real clunky ass runners and through lines though.
I mean, like, also just like, what I love about it, right, is that like it's also even the through line is dated because like Lifetime
Yes.
doesn't show like Lifetime doesn't show Golden Girls anymore. It's like on fucking Hallmark Channel or Logo now. Um, so even then, it's just like wow, it's such a through line. Um, it's such a dated through line, but what it is fucked up, right? Like, so it is fucked up, but at the same time though, like to your point about kind of like being subtle and getting a vibe, like that was definitely something that I saw in the countdown where like, Anna is very much not having a good time. Summer can kind of see that also because she's forcing herself to talk force Summer is forcing Summer to like talk to this guy while Anna's just kind of like content to just be on her own. Well, supposedly content to be on her
Yeah.
own. So I'm like, don't yeah, even though you made that pact, like all bets are off when it comes to the new year, right? Like all bets are off when it comes to the countdown and that like TV movie thing, right? Of like who you're gonna kiss at the final in the final
The dumbest trope.
yeah.
I still stand by it. The dumbest trope in television and film history.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta say it here though. A character that I've had mixed feelings on from day one.
Mhm.
Luke is the king of this episode. Like, like Luke just steals the show in every single scene. We get the Seth Cohen. Luke is a gay dad. Luke is a gay dad.
Luke is a gay
Like
dad. Luke
that
is a gay
little
dad.
like him playing the video games. Him playing guitar backstage. It's just like he's such an out of his element nerd. And then of course, as you guys have already hinted to in previous episodes, but yeah, him just awkwardly singing along to the Rooney song, and then Seth goes, "You know who this is?" He goes, "Yeah, Rooney, woo!" Like,
And
it's so good.
it's so good and you like the way that Chris Carmack who plays Luke the way he delivers every time he says "yeah, Rooney," you're not quite sure if he realizes, if he understands that it's not one person, right? Like he could be saying Rooney thinking like the main guy,
I mean, he
that's
straight up
Rooney.
asked which one's Rooney
Yeah,
when they
yeah,
were
exactly. Like
like,
until that point, it's like just the subtleness of like it's like when you ask people, is Bon Iver like a person or a band?
and the answer's like yes.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I do want to give a shout out just when I caught a couple more posters in Seth's room
Hmm.
this time around. Of course, Ben Folds, he's got a big ass Ben Folds live poster up on
Hmm.
his wall. Awesome. But the one that I was like, that is such a perfect set dressing and such an obscure band to put on that wall is that he has a pretty large Adam in his package poster on his wall. Do you have any clue who Adam in his package is?
No idea.
No, most of the world wouldn't. He was a Philly guy who somehow got booked playing like nothing but punk rock and indie shows,
Sure.
but it was literally just a Casio keyboard and a microphone. And he would just play the pre-programmed beats in the Casio keyboard and just sing songs about like science and literature because like he was studying to be a science teacher. So like he literally has song titles like I am downright amazed at what I can destroy with a hammer. Or like one song's just called like why won't the United States just start using the metric system like everybody else? Like it is the nerdiest, dorkiest songs. Um but I want to pull up just because I've actually gotten to meet him a couple times. I interviewed him on a podcast many years ago. There's a particular song title of his that in the recent years has come up as being like, dude, this is how ahead of the time this dude was. So in 2000, he put out an album that was called, or he put out a song called "If You're the Owner of the Washington Redskins, Then You're a Cock. Change the name." So he was just like this angry punk kid who couldn't really play any instruments. So it was just him and his Casio keyboard. But it's the exact type of music that I imagine Seth Cohen actually listening to at the exact same
This
time.
is just like further this is just further reinforcing the how like Seth Cohen your
Yeah.
life is, which like I mean, let's be real though, Matt, like that bodes well for you
Yeah.
because it's, he's crushing puss.
Yeah. And he's in and he's in a new Shazam movie.
Yes, he is
I
looking
just
great in the new Shazam movie.
He really is. I'm just checking real quick. I wanted to see how many times I wrote "fucking Oliver" in my notes. It looks like 4 times. 4 times "fucking Oliver" showed up. I did want to. This is going to sound like a humble brag, but it's truly not.
Okay, tell
I've
me.
been backstage at concerts a couple times. It is never like how it's depicted on this show. like, like maybe like the hotel, I guess, after the fact. But I have been backstage at a show, and it is 9 times out of 10 a really fucking unkept up room
Yeah.
with a couch.
Mhm.
Not even enough for every band member to sit somewhere. A couch and maybe like a case of water and a bag of chips. Like
Yeah.
it's like they're like walking around. There's just like groupies back there and an acoustic guitar for the grabbing for anybody to pick
Just
up and just start
just
playing
hanging
songs.
out. Just,
Yeah.
I was you're I was like, this it doesn't look like the green room from Green Room, and so I know this is fake.
Yeah. The green room from Green Room is way closer to any green room I have ever been in my life. Um, I love that there is this moment where, like, we all know that we can't trust Oliver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, even
He's
up to
got
this point,
dyed jet black hair. You cannot
yeah.
trust him.
When I realized that that was the star of Phantom of the Multiplex or Megaplex, I was like, wait, no. No.
I fucking love you so much. This is gonna be the TikTok poll. I fucking love you so much. I have been waiting for you. I have not brought it up because I've
Yeah.
been waiting for you to be like pulling
Wait
at
a
that,
second.
like looking at him and be like, how the hell? Who the hell is
Yeah.
this?
It's he's Side note, that's my personal pick for best decom. I love Phantom of the
That is an
Megaplex.
incorrect opinion, but okay.
I mean, it is an incorrect opinion unless you're Matt Kelly, who gets like emotionally moved by films and
True.
TV shows about how beautiful cinema is. So like all you need to do is have a speech about how great cinema is, and I'm going to be like, number one, best thing they've ever made.
Mickey
Uh,
Rooney singing
yeah,
"Hooray for Hollywood."
yeah, like perfect. And then, I mean, obviously, then the real better picks are right below it with like Brink and Smart House. Like those are
Yeah,
objectively the correct options. But
I feel like.
I, I, I just so what I was gonna say though is like we know from the second he's talking,
Mhm,
we said this in the episode, but
mhm,
like from the literal second that he is talking to a person outside of the therapist's door,
mhm.
you're like, this person's up to no good.
Yeah.
like,
Mm-mm.
like that's just psychotic behavior.
Yeah,
Like, period. You know what's the number one thing I don't want to do when I'm waiting for my therapist is talk to any patient that is seeing my therapist.
yeah.
Like keep me away from it. But it's almost like whoever was making the show was like, I don't know if we've driven home that he's not a great dude. So out of nowhere, the tone of this episode just suddenly changes where they're backstage, everyone's having a good time, and then it just has this weird like 20-second phone call scene where he's trying to score the coke,
Mhm.
and it's just like, where did this fucking even come from? Like it
Yeah.
is so out of left field. And then of course somehow he's already ordering from a cop, which like,
Yeah.
look, I'm not here to dispel things, but
It's like is he buying this on Jump Street? Like.
yeah, it's because here's the thing. Here's what my thought process is. One of two things have to be true.
Mhm,
Thing number one, he has not been clean for a very long time
mhm,
and has been secretly using coke pretty much the entire time we've known him.
mhm.
And that's the only thing that makes sense for him to get arrested right now.
Yeah,
Because if this is his first time relapse, he's going to be calling someone he knows
yeah,
already.
yes,
Like, so unless he just happened to call someone on the most unluckiest day to have a relapse where that particular person has just gotten caught by the police and has like worked out a deal where they can use his next connection.
yeah,
So like I'm just like it's just like I can't, who else could he be calling?
mhm,
Like he's at a concert and he's like, you know what, I'm ready to do coke again. Let me just call the cocaine delivery like directory and find a dealer to bring it to the show. Like, no, you would call like a person who you know would have some.
yeah.
Like, and how would that person suddenly be an undercover cop? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I mean,
Like,
Matt, I've never bought Coke, so I don't really know how
well,
those things
Joe,
go.
then I don't know what to tell you. I just assumed, I've seen 54. Like, I know what happens in those clubs. Don't lie to me.
See, I mean, he's like, I watched the Halston miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like also like Oliver. Like, what's frustrating for me about Oliver is like Oliver is just messy. Like, Oliver is just like, dude, if you have this like master plan to like drive a wedge between Marissa and Ryan, like you just need to do it better. Like, I'm really
Yeah,
disappointed.
do it less obvious.
Yeah,
Like, honestly, the only person who truly looks bad in this situation is Marissa being this dumb to everything.
thank you.
Like,
There, said it. Truth, right there.
like,
Uh,
like, it's like this is the most obvious plan employee I've ever seen. Like, it's
yeah.
so frustrating.
But they've done
I'm
a
looking
good
in the
job. They've done a good job up till now, right? Of like making Marissa's whole situation be so messy, like making Marissa be like, okay, she like was she overdosed in Mexico and she's got like we're trying to make it so that way she has to do this program, that the only kind of real conflict between them right now has to be between them and their relationship. And
Yeah.
so right now it's like
It's
Oliver, and Marissa doesn't know, her sobriety is very tenuous, right? And
well, and that's so this is the thing. And obviously I have also never done coke. I've never done a goddamn thing. I've never sipped beer. Like I got nothing on
have
this
you
plate.
really never
But
sipped beer?
I've never had alcohol. I have had alcohol touch my lips one time,
Okay.
and it was because my dad had put vodka in a water bottle, and I thought it was my water bottle.
Oh, I
And
see.
I opened up the fridge and took a big old swig and was like, "That don't taste like water." But that's it. I've literally never beyond that one time, like 10 years ago, never. I know a lot of people who've gone through addictions and drug
Mhm,
issues and whatever. And like rule number fucking one. Well, I guess it's a two-part rule here. One, if you're getting sober, don't make any crazy life decisions in that first year. Don't start dating somebody. Don't really relocate. Like
mhm.
you're anything that could put potential stress on you during that first year
Yep.
of sobriety, bad idea. Rule number two, until you've got a good couple years under your belt, you cannot be anyone else's savior in their sobriety
Yeah.
thing. And Marissa's fucking breaking both of those rules
Yeah.
every episode of the OC.
Yeah. It's not
I
great. I mean,
do,
even like Grayson, like, I mean, I would like to think that, as time goes on, we have more honest depictions about what like recovery looks like. I mean, Grace and Frankie plays with that a little bit. They have a storyline where Coyote is interested in a woman, but she is still like within her first year. So they're just like being friends and kind of exploring a little bit. But that's a way to add tension, right? That's a way
yeah.
to make it a thing. And I think with this it's just like,
I
it's
get
yeah.
nervous. I get nervous sometimes that we make things like that sexy.
Hmm.
Um, Case in point, like a movie that I like. I think it's a very enjoyable movie. It moved me emotionally, but the controversy that was surrounding the movie, I also agree with, was something like 5 Feet Apart,
Mm,
where it's like, don't make two people dying of a serious autoimmune disease sexy.
yeah, absolutely.
Follow the doctor's rules. If you need to stay 5 feet apart from everybody while you recover, stay fucking 5 feet apart
Yeah.
from. But then I have one last note. I have to give a call out to what might be the worst joke I've heard in the OC thus far.
Okay.
Do you know what joke it is?
I can't even begin. There was so much happening in this episode.
Sandy Cohen. Well, hold on a second. Jimmy Cooper and Haley
Hmm.
are playing Operation,
Hmm.
and they're explaining that they are going to watch the Golden Girls and play all of these old board games like they used to do during the babysitting days.
Hmm.
Then, then Sandy Cohen drops the hammer.
Hmm.
Haley gets up and storms out. Jimmy Cooper stands up and says sorry,
Oh.
and Kirsten says, "What do you have to be sorry about?" And he says, "I was talking about the board game." That setup doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. In the rewatch I was like, oh, we kind of phoned it in with that joke.
Like that'd be like me in that same situation, just standing up and going, "Trouble."
Yeah.
Like
Just like,
perfection.
yes, cranium.
Ooh, don't wake Daddy Cohen.
Yes. Don't wake daddy. Mousetrap. The mousetrap,
Like,
right?
yeah, like it's like what the I have never completed putting together the board for Mousetrap. Like that was half the game was setting that stupid fucking Rube Goldberg thing up.
It
And
always
then
looks
I just
so
was like, this is
cool.
exhausting. Yeah.
It looks so cool.
At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not what I wear.
and they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why am I facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
All right, do we want to talk music, Joe?
I mean, I already know what my pick is, but yeah, we got to do it.
All right, here we go. There's a lot of them in this. So, Saturday Morning by Eels plays. We already said that's the song Haley's listened to in the morning. Popular Mechanics for Lovers by Blah, I guess. This is a song that's playing when they're in school. We get 4 songs by Rooney. We've got Blue Side, which is playing when they're hanging at Oliver's.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Sorry, playing when they're listening to Rooney at the Cohen's house.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we see Rooney live, we get I'm Shaken as the first song and Pop Stars as the second song. But we're not done. While they're waiting to get into the Rooney concert, you hear Burn Baby Burn by Ash. When they meet up with Oliver, who helps get him in backstage, you're hearing, when they, Burn Baby Burn is playing when they find Oliver at the back door. When Oliver helps Marissa and Ryan get closer to the stage, you're hearing Should I Know by Blove, who I've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Anna and Summer sing Thank You for Being a Friend while they're in the bathroom.
I love that you put that in there.
And then lastly, One In by Laptop is our closing song. I'll let you go first because you have the correct answer, and then I'm going to give the wrong answer.
The correct answer is Shaken. I'm shaken. Like,
I literally wrote I am aware that the correct answer is I'm shaken.
Here's the thing. Like, I do love Rooney.
We'll talk about both of these. I wrote, but I'm writing down Saturday Morning by Eels, which I think is the only acceptable second option.
I would agree.
But
just because of how it's used.
It's used very well in that opening, and it's just a song that I already knew and loved, whereas like I don't have an attachment to Rooney, but I cannot deny that that is the scene of this episode, is the I'm Shaken scene. Like, just watching Luke fucking fall in love with his new favorite band, Rooney, and like, we've talked about this before leading up to this episode. This is like one of my absolute favorite television tropes of we need this band to break. Let's give them a spotlight on a television show.
Sure. Yeah, it's something that I think this era of like teen soaps really got. Like, the One Tree Hill really, really understood it. Like at the end of every episode, because Shazam was not a thing. Like, you could be like
Buffy, you had the bronze for seasons on end.
Yeah, 90210. I mean, like, was the kind of the beginning of all of that, but with the crossovers to other music and like wait till we get to season 2 of the OC when they have like their Peach Pit, the bait shop, becomes like a music venue.
I figured like, I guess in my head when you guys would talk about the Rooney episode, I felt like, well, that has to be season 2.
Yeah.
Just because in my head I felt like season 1 they probably did know what they had.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2 is where I'm not surprised. I'm assuming that the thing that you've referred to as the Beckisode
is in season 2.
Is in season 2. Because that's like when you've hit this point where like, ooh, we've noticed this trend that like certain songs and artists show up on this show and sell well.
Yeah.
How can we make sure that that's a common thread throughout the next season or so? Like, commerce, Joe.
It's all about the commerce.
But now, the OC was a wild success at the time of its release. It took over every conversation in pop culture. So this is the part of the show where we talk about things that took over pop culture in the past or even in the present, Joe. Maybe even in the future if we've somehow got screeners, I guess. I'm going to go first because I may have picked the most past thing I could have ever picked.
Oh, okay.
But it is...
Is this a cross promotion for another one of your podcasts?
Not really. This was oh shit, they added that to HBO Max. I watched Nanook of the North, the, the 1922 documentary that I just watched out of pure I watched out of pure curiosity, and it is exactly what you'd anticipate.
It is all kinds of races, probably.
Yeah,
And
I was just like, all right, well, I've seen it. So beyond the fact that like I know that it's like it's widely considered one of the first like true documentaries, like what set the bar for what a documentary
Mhm, mhm.
looks like. I also had this goal in mind at a certain point. I'll probably never complete the goal. But when I sat down and binge watched all of Documentary Now, I then wanted to see all of the documentaries that Documentary Now was doing a parody of because I felt
Oh,
like it
okay.
would accent it. And they
Sure.
definitely one of the first episodes was I mean, side note, not tied to anything beyond for the love of God, if you've never seen Documentary Now, you
Mhm.
need to watch the first episode that is a parody of Grey Gardens. It is one of the funniest 30 minutes ever put together. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it. I've only seen uh the one that's a parody on the Company documentary with John
Okay, yeah,
Mulaney as like their Stephen Sondheim.
yeah. The Grey Gardens one is Fred Armisen and Bill Hader playing Little Edie
And Big
and
Edie.
the mom. And like and just like but it's great because it slowly turns into a horror movie. Like as they're filming around Grey Gardens, like police investigators keep showing up asking about missing people in the town. And it like just keeps getting darker and more sinister as it goes along, but it's just especially if you've seen Grey Gardens, which is like such a weird documentary to begin
Sure,
with,
sure,
like
yeah.
they just amplify the weird to like an absurd I'm honestly I almost feel like you and Joshua could justify doing an episode of Grey Gardens followed by this Documentary Now
For Fright
episode
School.
just for Fright School, just for the campiness of Grey Gardens followed by the horror twist version of it on Documentary Now.
I you know what? It'll probably have to be something that we put on the Patreon show.
Probably. I do love the Patreon episodes, though, even though I don't know if I'm ever going to watch this show that you guys have been reviewing. But I like listening to Joshua experience the show.
You're not gonna watch Heartstopper?
Do you know how long my list of things to watch is?
Bump
Right
that
now, I'm
shit
enjoying.
up, Matt. Be an ally and bump that shit up.
I'm watching Acapulco right now on Apple Plus. That's been delightful.
Oh my gosh. Bump Heartstopper up before season 2 comes. All right.
All right, I'll do that for you, Joe, but only for you.
Thank you. I appreciate
What's your
that.
pop culture thing? Is it Heartstopper?
No, it is not Heartstopper. Okay, so I have been on a journey discovering like electronic dance music.
Mhm.
Specifically realizing that my particular niche into it is like house music. So,
Mhm.
Boots and Cats and, all of that stuff. And I have been really enjoying the music of the duo Sophie Tucker.
Okay.
They are they are delightful. It is very much like electronic housey, very Brazil is the center of the universe kind of feel a little bit, but it's just so much fun and just so delightfully gay as well. I recommend that everybody, especially if you're a fan of season 2 of The White Lotus, go to their Instagram, go to like one of their their pinned posts on their grid where they basically remix one of their songs with the theme song for season 2 of White Lotus. And that was kind of my
Okay.
entry into them. And then I ended up just like falling down a rabbit hole and I'm like, okay, add to playlist.
So I'm not quite an electronica person,
Mhm.
but I feel like I could get into it.
Sure.
I've been, I would say the last 10 years,
Okay.
I've really had a reevaluation of a genre of music that I absolutely hated as a child
Okay.
because I was Mr. Grunge and punk music, and
Sure.
anything that wasn't grunge and punk was bad. Just rediscovering the last 10 years my love of like 90s Euro pop is just like the real McCoy, LaBouche, like
Oh my God,
those like
real
club
McCoy.
classics. Like I literally the last 3 years, Another Night has been in my top 10 Spotify Wrapped. It is a song I listen to so much, Joe. I even know the dude's verses in the song. Like I know the
That is so gay. I love it.
I talk to you. In
Wow.
my night, in my dreams, I'm in love with you. Cause you talk to me like lovers do. This is the stuff that Kyle and I constantly want to have on at the horror movie night booth, and Scott's like, no.
Well, yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
Look, the only time, Joe, the only time anyone has ever stopped at our table
hmm
to ask me about the song that was playing was, I shit you not, Kesha featuring Big Frida. Like someone like stopped and was like, "Is this the new Kesha album?" I was like, "Yeah, it is." Like, and we had a long conversation about how great her last couple albums.
Oh my God, Kesha featuring. Oh God, that makes me. I do love me. It's a Big Frida.
All right, I think we've officially gone fully off the rails on the OC, but yes, go check
Another
out.
night. I'm sorry.
That's so good.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.